G.I. Joe, Operation Sandstorm. Thousands of feet below the scorching hot sands of the desert exists a city of pure evil. This ultra-secret military installation, codenamed Sandstorm, was designed and built by Destro and his research team of wicked and mercenary scientists. Let's eavesdrop now on Destro as he gives Cobra Commander the royal tour of his heartless and terrifying new invention.
As even you can see, Cobra Commander, Sandstorm is without equal. The backward G.I. Joe team is years away from anything this sophisticated or deadly.
A wicked smile curled the edges of the commander's mouth as he spoke.
Hot air comes cheap here in the desert, Destro. I'll be more impressed once I see Sandstorm in action. Are all the weather manipulation missiles armed and activated?
Destro nodded in silent affirmation.
Attention all personnel. Commence operational hydraulic lift now.
With an earth-shaking rumbling sound, the mile-long city of death crept upwards through the sand. Huge blowers cleared tons of sand as the gigantic complex lifted itself toward the desert surface.
Now that Sandstorm has reached the surface, we can begin testing the weather manipulation circuitry. What would you like to see first, Commander?
A ferocious electrical storm near the G.I. Joe headquarters could prove amusing.
Destro punched in the proper coordinates. And the sinister black missile thundered upward and raced towards North America.
This is quite a storm. I hope the electrical charges from the lightning don't scramble our computers.
It was Scarlet speaking. Here at G.I. Joe headquarters, a colossal electrical storm had been pounding the base all day.
This is nothing, Scarlet. Where do you see these video scan reports I've received in the past few hours?
Duke slipped the top-secret cassettes into the video computer, and soon the wall-high screen vibrated with the frightening images.
Earthquakes in Colombia. Tidal waves in Tokyo. And an ice storm that's buried half of Europe in May. I smell a rat. And from the look of these aerial reconnaissance photos taken over the desert, it just might be a desert rat.
Ace spun around in his chair.
Sounds like the work of a snake to me. Those unnatural dune formations seem to indicate some sort of subterranean activity. And I'll bet 3 months furlough, Cobra Commander is hiding out there somewhere.
The following morning, as the dark clouds were clearing, Duke and Scarlet boarded a military transport jet and raced up through the clouds. Leaving Ace to prepare the attack and destruct operation, Duke and Scarlet were on their way to El Alamein, a small town on the Mediterranean coast, 70 miles east of Alexandria. A low flyby of the suspicious dune formations gave the Joes their first close-up look at the site. If they had known the true terrifying size and scope of Sandstorm, they might have wished there were more than simply Duke and Scarlet alone against an entire invisible city of Cobra warriors. After landing at an Egyptian Air Force base, Duke and Scarlet took possession of a specially outfitted desert vehicle. A 4.8-liter fuel-injected turbocharged V12 engine would supply them with all the horsepower they would need in the rugged desert terrain. Posing as civilian tourists, the twosome drove into town. A few hours of clever investigation and some well-placed Egyptian money led them to their first major lead. A talkative old camel driver named Namir revealed, after several bottles of cheap Egyptian wine, that he had seen strange sights in the desert outside of town.
Isis, I swear that with these eyes I saw an entire city rise up out of the sands. Pillars of fire shot heavenward, and then, like a mirage, the city sunk back beneath the sand.
This is bigger than I thought, Scarlet. We'd better radio Ace for backup support. We'll need more firepower than we're packing now if we hope to knock out this Cobra base.
Using an ultra-high-frequency mobile communications unit patched through to high-orbiting Joe satellites, Duke made contact with Ace back at headquarters. Duke's voice boomed out from the wall-mounted speaker.
Duke, calling Ace. Do you read me? Over.
Duke, this is Ace, reading you like a book. Go ahead, over.
Scarlet and I think we found this nest of desert snakes. We'll need your help to stamp them out. Forward the new desert tunneling vehicle at once, and prepare to attack at 0100 hours tomorrow, local time. Coordinates encoded in following digital sequence.
You and Scarlet be in any danger?
No, Ace. We'll be miles away. Blast it to pieces as ordered. This is Duke. Over and out.
Within hours, the Mole, as the Joes had nicknamed it, arrived. This top-secret vehicle could chew its way through any terrain, leaving behind a well-fused tunnel. Duke figured he and Scarlet would take a first-hand look at the Cobra base early the next morning, and be clear of the area before the late-night attack. Exhausted from a long day, they retired to their rooms to catch a little shut-eye. Cobra headquarters' sensitive ears had monitored Duke's message, and Cobra Commander was storming the length of his underground control center in fury.
So the Joes think they can take out this base with conventional firepower. Those freedom-worshipping idiots are in for a rude awakening. Not even a neutron warhead could damage this impenetrable fortress. Attention! Ground Battalion Beta! Proceed as ordered and exterminate this Duke! But spare the one they call Scarlet and bring her to me. I'm sure I'll find her more than amusing.
A soft breeze from the desert swayed the white curtains in Scarlet's window. A pale moon illuminated the scene in a faint blue light. Deep in sleep, Scarlet could not see the hooded Cobra troops as they slipped silently through the open window. A small blast of tranquilizing gas made Scarlet helpless to cry out or resist her abduction. Once outside the window, she was hoisted to the roof of the hotel and whisked away on the silent wings of Cobra's high-tech helicopter. Within minutes, she was far beneath the sandy desert, still lost in the fog of unconsciousness. Cobra Commander eyed her with villainous glee.
If all the Joes were as lovely as you, my dear, I would surrender tomorrow.
The moment Scarlet failed to appear in the lobby at the appointed hour, Duke knew something had gone wrong. Scarlet was a professional, and if she had to crawl to get there, nothing would stop her. Instinctively, Duke knew what had happened. He blamed himself for the lapse in security, but there was no time for recriminations. He raced out of town in his high-speed vehicle. Minutes later, Duke climbed inside the titanium hull of the Mole. The high-pressure door hissed shut behind him.
All those hours I thought were wasted digging up cornfields in Iowa had better pay off now. This thing's got more knobs than a 767. But here goes nothing.
Duke's skilled hands seized the controls as the powerful Earth Eater began chewing its way down through the sand. Scarlet awakened with a start.
Well, I trust you have slept soundly, my sweet.
The throbbing in her head told the whole story.
After the knockout drugs, you must have slipped me. I could have slept through World War III.
But would you have come to me willingly?
Sure, Commander. Just close enough to tell you what I think of you, you slimy, hateful...
Save your breath, Patriot. Where I'm putting you, you'll need all the air you've got. Guards! Please escort Miss Scarlet to the underground burial chamber. The quarters are small, but you won't find it uncomfortable. For long.
The mole handled like a dream. Its heat-seeking navigational system honed in on Sandstorm. Then, with a gigantic crunching sound, it burrowed its way right through the metal perimeter of the buried city. Duke could hear the security alarms screaming as he jumped from the control seat and climbed out.
No guards yet. Lucky break for me. I've got to find Scarlet, and if I know Cobra Commander's taste in women, that shouldn't be hard.
Suddenly, 2 Cobra security guards rounded the corner. After a strong blast from his automatic hand weapon had knocked out the guards, Duke, now disguised in a security uniform, pushed on toward the control room.
I never thought it would end like this. At the rate the sand is falling, I should be completely buried in less than 5 minutes. Duke, I'm sorry I let you down, but at least I'll never have to worry about growing old.
By now, Scarlet was waist-deep in sand. Her military training told her that her best bet was to remain motionless. The air was thick with dust, and Scarlet knew enough to breathe with slow, measured breaths. It was her only chance. Meanwhile, Ace and his squadron of attack jets were just penetrating Egyptian airspace. He was starting to get worried. His orders told him to destroy the Cobra hideaway in less than 5 minutes, but his heart told him to stall. He still hadn't heard from Duke or Scarlet. Ace knew he couldn't keep circling for long without becoming the target himself.
Come on, Duke. I can't wait much longer.
With an incredible burst of strength, Duke crashed through the door to Cobra Commander's control room and leveled his gun directly at the hooded man.
Where is she, Snake? I know you've got her.
Cobra Commander let out a low laugh.
I'm afraid you've just missed the party, Duke. But it's just like you Americans to have such bad timing. She's dead. Do you hear me? Dead.
Scarlet strained to keep her head above the sand. Her eyes burned, and the dust clogged her throat. Suddenly, she heard the crash of Duke's forceful entry into Cobra's control room and decided to use that breath she had been saving. Even the bravest soldier knows when it's time to scream for help.
Help! Duke, if you can hear me, come quickly. Help! Help!
A strong hand reached down and grabbed Scarlet's outstretched arm. Duke pulled Scarlet up through the hot sand and dragged her out into the corridor. Ace knew he could stall no longer.
This is leader to squadron. Prepare to commence attack on target. Stand by to fire. Goodbye, Duke. I'm sorry, good buddy.
By now, Cobra Commander and his guards were firing on Duke and Scarlet as they raced through the metal corridors toward the mole. Dodging bullets, the Joes ran into the chamber where their escape vehicle was waiting. With not a second to spare, they jumped inside, and Duke fired the mighty engine.
You may have escaped, but your puny attack will never damage my fortress. It is and shall remain impenetrable.
What Cobra Commander didn't know was that the G.I. Joe forces had no intention of trying to blow up Sandstorm. Ace's squadron of jets was equipped with hyperthermal laser guns that would melt the sand of the desert into one white-hot chunk of glass.
Fire! Now!
Blast after blast of scorching heat rays showered the target. The sand sparkled and danced as its very molecules fused into a slab of unbelievably hot silicone. Duke and Scarlet just cleared the blast area. Even through the thick metal hull of the mole, they could feel the heat. But for now, they had made it to safety. Days later, a singed Cobra commander made his way to the surface of the desert. By following the mole's tunnel, he had rescued himself.
Curse you, G.I. Joe! You may have won the battle, but I swear by all that is unholy, I shall win the war!
Back at G.I. Joe headquarters, Duke, Ace, and Scarlet were reunited.
Interpol agents report Cobra Commander escaped the clam bake we threw for him.
He'll be back in action in no time.
But I'll bet he's really burned up.
Scarlet, Duke, and Ace laughed out loud. It was another in a long string of brave victories for the G.I. Joe team. But in their hearts, they knew it would not be the last fight. As long as there were tyrants like Cobra Commander and Destro in this world, the battle would go on. This is what makes G.I. Joe a real American hero.